Part 37. Dressed as a farm boy, he cheated on his way out of the desert. Author, Delayed Flowering. Chapter 361. Chapter 361, If you have breasts, you are a mother. Go and tell Aunt Lee that Mr. Da is back. Mr. Da has been gone for a long time this time, and he is finally back. How many things have been hauled in such a long convoy? Mr. Big, Mr. Big. Everybody rushed forward and surrounded the first carriage. Li Zhensheng jumped off the carriage, smiled and held hands with everyone. Fellas, you are always nice, but I haven't seen you for a long time. He was as tanned as charcoal, and he smiled with white teeth. He was particularly happy, which made everyone laugh even harder. Mr. Da is suffering from sunburn. Everything is fine at home. Don't worry, Mr. Da. Someone also asked, where are Ji Yi and Lu Yang? Why didn't you see these two boys? I brought two men with me from the south. They went to the city to see someone off and they came back right away. Li Zhensheng responded. At this time, several villagers who had gone to Quanzhou to expand their horizons also walked over from the tail of the motorcade. Everyone could not help but exchange warm greetings again, and everyone was extremely happy. The village chief was on the mountain. He saw him from a distance and rushed over. He shouted, "We are all from our own family. Let's chat in the evening for a while. I'm afraid the Lu family's motorcade will come to collect fruit soon, so everyone hurry up and get busy." Li Zhensheng saluted the old man and asked, "The fruits at home are about to be picked now. Will Mr. Lu be responsible for selling them?" "Yes, Mr. Lu is keeping an eye on me. He comes over every few days to have a look, for fear of being overtaken by others." The village chief looked full of pride and pointed to the archway in the Feng Shui treasure land with a smile. "This is a newly built archway. With this archway, we don't have to worry about selling the fruits in the village." Li Zhensheng hurriedly said, "Uncle, I will go home first and come back later to pick fruits." Go home and rest quickly. You will not be left to pick the fruits alone. You have come all the way back to talk to your mother." The village chief waved his hands and opened his mouth to chase people away. Everyone greeted Li Zhensheng one after another. "Mr. Da, I'll go talk to you tonight. Mr. Da will tell us about the new things outside in the evening. Mr. Big goes out again, and it's my turn to follow him to broaden his horizons. You're still early, I should be the one waiting in line." While everyone was talking and joking, they all carried baskets and baskets into the mountain. The mountains are full of red fruits, which are really mouth-watering. Li Zhensheng thought for a while and called to a villager, "Brother, help me pick 2 baskets of fruits and deliver them to the courtyard. Tell the village chief and put them on our family's account." "Okay. Don't worry, Mr. Da, I will send it to you as soon as I finish picking it," the villagers immediately responded. The motorcade resumed its journey and soon arrived in front of Li's house. The old lady carried her granddaughter on her back and was about to head to the village entrance. When she saw her son arriving, her eyes became red. "Zhensheng, why did it take so long this time? If you don't come back, it will be the Mid-Autumn Festival." "Uncle, Uncle," Ji Yan also waved her 2 chubby hands and shouted loudly. Li Zhensheng hurriedly stepped forward, hugged his niece, and then knelt down to kowtow to his mother. The old lady helped him and slapped him angrily. "Why are you being polite to me? Are you tired or hungry?" Li Zhensheng held back his tears and looked at my mother carefully. He saw that she was not thin and her face was rosy, so he said, "Mom, don't worry, everything is fine. Ji Yi, Lu Yang and the villagers are all back safely. It's just that we brought too many goods this time, so we walk slowly on the road. Hurry up, so we can come back before the Mid-Autumn Festival." After saying that, he kissed his chubby little niece again and said with a smile, "Uncle didn't catch up with our Funiuer's birthday, but Uncle brought you a gift. You must like it." "Thank you, Uncle, Uncle is the best," Ji-yin hugged the uncle's neck and smiled happily. At this time, on the other side of the western mountain, Li Laosi, who was leading patrols and guards, also heard the news and hurried home. The brothers met, hugged each other, patted each other the back twice, and everything was gone. Li Zhensheng did bring too many things back this time. There were so many people coming and going in the Li family yard that it was difficult to pile them up. The old lady took the key and opened Mrs. Kui's yard. All the goods were moved in one after another, filling up the entire open space in the yard. Fortunately at this time of year, you don't have to worry about rain, and it's okay to leave it in the open air. At this time, Li Lao brought a villager back with 2 baskets of fruits. "Brother, I didn't know you were back until I was in the valley." As he spoke, he hurriedly distributed the fruits to everyone in the motorcade and said with a smile, "Everyone is here by chance. The fruits on our mountain are ripe. We presented several baskets to the palace earlier, and the emperor agreed. Everyone, let's have a try. It's really hard to take care of the convoy along the way if you're not in a hurry. We can stay for lunch and let everyone have some fun." The steward of the motorcade quickly thanked everyone and motioned for everyone to share the fruit, and then said with a smile, "Thank you very much, Mr. Er, for the hospitality, but the brothers are all from the Zindu area. After being away for several months, they miss home. That's all. I'm going back. We'll see you often in the future, and I'll definitely have the opportunity to have a drink with the second master again." Li Zhensheng also said, "Don't keep me second, there will be opportunities in the future. Brothers are all familiar with each other on the road, they are not outsiders." After saying that, he patted the steward on the shoulder and said, "I'll go find you in the next few days. Let's settle the accounts and talk about future business." "Okay, member, we're going to leave now." The steward led the convoy and everyone saluted, then he happily took the fruit and jumped into the empty carriage before leaving. When the convoy was far away, Li Lao asked, "Brother, do you want to take this convoy?" Boss Li nodded. "These people have been traveling between Quanzhou and Zindu for many years, and they have some skills. But they have owners, but it shouldn't be difficult to buy them. There is an opportunity recently. I plan to give it a try. We'll discuss it when the time comes, so we're not in a hurry." At this time, Ji Yi and Lu Yang also hurried back. Before the horse could stop, Ji Yi jumped down, hugged Grandma, and shouted, "Grandma, I'm back." After saying that, he turned around and snatched his sister from his uncle's arms. "Fu Niuer, I brought you a gift, a lot of good things." Ji Yin happily kicked her little feet and kissed her brother several times on the face. "Third brother is the best, we of you, Fu Niuer misses third brother the most." Li Zhensheng couldn't help teasing his little niece, "Didn't you just say that uncle is the best, and just now, you changed it to brother?" Mrs. Li laughed and scolded, "This girl, as long as she has breasts, she is a mother. I don't care if you are good or not, just coax the good things into your hands first." Everyone burst into laughter. Lu Yang was thinking about his family. After saying a few words, he hurried back to see his parents. The old lady called Shui Yun and quickly ordered a bowl of shredded pork noodles to fill her son's belly. Li Zhensheng then discovered that a new person had entered the family and asked, "Is this the person the family bought?" The old lady smiled and said, "It's Fu Niuer's birthday. The Marquis is sending Fu Niuer's nanny and 2 maids, and there is also a Zhuangzi." End of this chapter. Dressed as a farm boy, he cheated on his way out of the desert. Author, Delayed Flowering. Chapter 362. Chapter 362 The Ocean Princess's Nest. Li Zhensheng felt relieved and asked his mother about trivial matters at home. Li Lao and Li Laosi said a few words and hurried back to the mountain. After all, the people in the village are busy picking fruits. They have worked hard for a year to harvest the fruits and cannot afford to neglect them. They must rush to help. Ji Yi couldn't wait any longer, so he put his sister on his shoulders and said, "Grandma, I'm taking Fu Niu to play too. Go and take Shui Ling with you. If you go crazy and can't take care of your sister, just give her to Shui Ling." The old lady saw that her grandson was in high spirits and did not stop him. Shui Ling and Shui Yun are both martial arts students, so she feels relieved to have her follow and take care of them. Just because the mountains were busy, the school had a holiday. Jia Huan, Jia 11 and brother Cat came back from outside. When they saw Jia Yi and his uncle, they went crazy with joy. Brother Cat rushed forward, hugged his father's neck, and shouted again and again. Li Zhensheng patted his son. His nose was sore, but he became happy again when he saw that his son was black and strong, not like the little kitten that fell ill at any time. "Good boy, you have to change your name. Brother Cat doesn't suit you, you should be called Tidani R." Everyone laughed. Cat brother was twisting and turning in his father's arms, his black flesh was like a roller. Li Zhensheng patted his son's little head and said, "Go and play with your brother and sister. Dad will hold you to sleep at night and give you good things." "Okay, okay," brother Cat was waiting for the sentence. At this moment, he was satisfied and ran away with his brothers without a trace. Shui Yun brought the noodles. Li Zhensheng was really hungry and started eating them. Just after finishing eating, Lu's Haihang came. He originally brought people here to pull fruit. When he heard that Li Zhensheng was back, he came over to see him. When Mrs. Li saw this, she had no chance to talk to her son, so she took he to see Huan Iong. It was Daong's turn to go to the dock these 2 days, and the house was noisy again. Madame Hui couldn't come out of the house for fear of getting panicked. Sure enough, Hui Niang was holding the child and looking out. When the old lady said that Li Zhensheng was back and the village was busy picking fruits, she felt relieved. At dusk, Lu's Haihang took more than 20 carts of fruit and returned to the city with a smile. Once the village has arranged patrol personnel, you can take a rest. Every family had a quick bite of food and then gathered at Li's house to listen to Li Zhensheng talk about the new things in the south. In fact, Li Zhensheng only started talking, and the other villagers who went to Quanzhou with him picked up the conversation and started chatting. What kind of ship is as big as 2 acres of land? Fish and shrimp are everywhere, the sea is as vast as the sky, red beards and blue eyes, foreigners who are like evil spirits. Some words have been heard by everyone in the village, but they are still enjoyable to hear. It wasn't until the moon was in the sky that the village chief ordered everyone to disperse. Everyone was a little unfinished, so Li Zhensheng said, "When I come back this time, I can stay a little longer. Let's talk about it slowly in the future. Don't rush it." Everyone then went home together with peace of mind. They talked and laughed on the way, which made the cold night feel warmer. The Li family closed their courtyard, and finally only their own family was left. Li Zhensheng called Li Laosi and Ji Yi, "Bring the things you prepared for home." Jia Huan Jia 11, Cat brother, and Good News immediately opened their eyes wide and wanted to stand on the doorframe, looking eagerly outside. Soon, Li Laosi and Ji Yi moved everything back. One of the super large shells caught everyone's attention. Li Zhensheng called Ji Yi to put the shell on the Kong, then pressed it next to the shell, and the shell slowly opened. This shell is as big as a table of the 8 immortals. I don't know what kind of grease is applied on the surface. It is extremely smooth and shines brightly. As soon as the shell was opened, the strings of pearls on the edges unfolded, forming a curtain of pearls. The curtain was covered with a small quilt, light crimson, beautiful like the nest of an ocean princess. With a cheer at the good news, he rushed over, got into the shell, lifted up the quilt, and rolled around happily. Jiaxi Jian and Cat brother were also excitedly circling around the shell. Jian rolled over a few times, climbed out, and let his brothers go in and lie down. It's a pity that Jiaxi Jian is too big, half of his legs are exposed, and only Cat brother can make do with his legs curled up. This is a birthday gift for Fu Niuer, do you like it? Li Zhensheng hugged his little niece and asked with a smile. Not surprisingly, he was slobbered all over his face again. I like it, my uncle is the best. Fu Niuer will definitely be filial to his uncle when she grows up. Everyone laughed along with them, only Fu Niuer can sleep on this shell bed. The old lady asked, did you spend a lot of money again? No, Mom, don't worry, this shell was bought from a fisherman and it's very cheap. I only had to find a craftsman to pay for it. Even the pearl curtains are made of water drop pearls. They are not perfectly round and are very cheap. Li Zhensheng explained a few words and quickly went out to get something again. Rare fabrics, coral bonsai, various dry goods, etc., as well as a large box of jewelry made from pearls and corals. Mom, the craftsmanship in Quanzhou is influenced by the foreign countries and is somewhat unique. I made some more jewelry. You can give a share to your brothers and sisters, and keep any more. It will always be useful. Li Zhensheng pushed the jewelry box in front of the old lady, and the old lady smiled. My family got engaged a few days ago, and I was worried about the betrothal gift. You can bring these things back for good use. Jie Huan is engaged. Li Zhensheng and Jie Yi were both surprised, and the old lady simply said a few words. They didn't know the inside story. They only heard that Jie Huan was going to marry Mr. Academy's daughter, so they were naturally happy. Li Zhensheng laughed loudly. Jie Huan, this guy is really awesome. He married a noble lady without making any noise. Ji Yi also said, tomorrow I will ride to Luoan to have a look. Take me, I'm going to see my brother too. Brother Cat clung to Ji Yi's back and began to yell. The old lady slapped her in the face and put her in her arms. Seeing that the night was getting late, the family dispersed to rest. Ji Yin sneaked out quietly while Grandma was spreading the quilt. Sure enough, Ji Yi was waiting outside the door. The brother and sister got together, and Ji Yi stuffed 2 small cloth bags into his sister. I bought a dozen more transparent stones that you like, but there are a lot of big pearls. Thank you, brother. Ji Yin hugged her brother and gave him a big kiss, her smiling eyes narrowed like crescent moons. Ji Yi hugged his sister and smiled helplessly. I really don't know what you are doing with so many transparent stones, they are not as beautiful as rubies. Ji Yin raised her chin and expressed contempt for her brother's ignorance. How did he know that women are crazy about diamonds? Oh, brother, you don't understand. Whenever I see you in the future, if the price is not expensive, buy it for me. When you get married, I will give my sister-in-law a set of jewelry and keep it if she likes it. Ji Yi blushed and waved his hands quickly. I don't want to marry a wife, I haven't had enough fun yet. The old lady heard the noise in the house and shouted, Fu Niuer, don't make trouble with your brother, hurry up and go into the house to sleep. End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Dressed as a farm boy, he cheated on his way out of the desert. Author, Delayed Flowering. Chapter 363. Chapter 363. There is smoke coming out of the old Li family's ancestral grave. Fu Niuer immediately jumped off her brother's knees, waved her hands and ran back to the house happily. When the old lady saw her granddaughter's empty hands, she scolded her, did you steal something from your brother again? If you want to hide it, and don't lose it. I got it, Grandma. Ji Yin smiled and showed her small white teeth. She took off her coat in a few moments and got into the big shell. The old lady blew out the oil lamp and the room became dark, but the moonlight shone in through the gap in the window lattice, making the big shell look like an ivory-colored egg, wrapping the little girl, and quickly fell asleep. Smelling the faint smell of the sea, in Ji Yin's dream, there are seagulls lingering around the mast of the ship, snow-white waves hitting the shore, and small boats loaded with catches. When I woke up, it was already bright and the Kong was empty. Jiyan rubbed his eyes and took a closer look. He saw that the Marquis and his uncle were on the ground, drinking tea at the square table. Maybe they saw her waking up, her soft hair was bristle like a little hedgehog, and they both started laughing. Master Ho stepped forward and took the fat girl out of the shell. "Are you awake, Fu Niur?" "Father, when did you come back?" Jiyan yawned loudly, still a little confused. "I just got home," the Marquis said with a smile. "Your grandma is in the wing, can your adoptive father wash your face?" Okay, Jiyan nodded and shouted again, "Uncle, I dreamed about the sea last night." Li Zhensheng also smiled, "When you grow up, your uncle will take you to the south to take a big boat." At this time, Nani He and Shui Ling came in with warm water and wet the veil. The Marquis wiped the little girl's face, and he and the others got clean clothes and skirts. After everything was tidied up, Shui Yun also brought the egg custard and food. After having eaten and drank with the little girl, Mr. Ho said, "I want to go to Yunhe town with your uncle. The grain there is about to be harvested. Your uncle wants to discuss something with you." Jiyan was curious, but nodded. Li Zhensheng hugged his niece, thought for a while and said, "Fu Niur, my uncle originally wanted to use the credit of the new grain to give you insurance in exchange, but a lot of things have happened at home in the past few months, and my uncle is very worried. Those people from the Yan family dared to smash up our house, just to bully our family, which has no reputation and is just a common people, so, can the credit for the new grain this time be?" Jiyan understood what the uncle meant before he finished speaking, and immediately responded, "Uncle, Fu Niur has a father and a foster father to support her. Fu Niur is still the princess, and no one dares to bully her." The uncle asked grandma for her life. "The kind that doesn't have to kneel down when you meet anyone. The kind that asks for a high-ranking official position from the second uncle, and the kind that gives you money even if you don't get the job." Li Zhensheng was stunned for a moment and looked at his niece with admiration again. He really wanted to use the contribution of this food donation to seek a royal title for the old lady and a false official position for his second brother. In this way, I don't have to kowtow when I see any noble person, let alone the Yan family, even relatives of the emperor and the country are not afraid. The second brother is smooth and shrewd by nature. He has an official position, which fulfills his dream of taking the scientific examination and becoming an official since he was a child. He does not have to go to work every day and is not afraid of intrigues." But his niece agreed so readily, and he felt a little guilty. This year on the road, almost half of the time, he had nothing to do, thinking about home, and no matter how much he thought about it, he felt that his little niece was special. Master Ho always said that his family saved his life twice, but it was clear that no one in his family had medical skills. Think again that the Marquis treats his little niece like an eyeball, and is even prepared to leave the Marquis's house to his little niece after he dies in battle. Even with such a great contribution as donating food, I plan to exchange it for a gold medal to avoid death for my little niece. If he can't figure it out anymore, he has a stupid head. I can't explain the magic of my little niece. The Marquis knows it better than he does. These sudden high-yield new grains, new fruit trees planted on the mountains, jade melons and golden fruits in the fields, etc., are all inseparable from my niece. And now that he wants to take away the credit for donating food, he will definitely be in trouble for his little niece. As an uncle, he felt really bad about taking away the credit from his children. "Fu Niur, uncle knows that you are a good boy in the future. Uncle will make a lot of money and buy you countless solid gold bracelets." Jiyan nodded with a smile, her eyes filled with golden light. "Uncle, Fu Niur has too many gold bracelets, can you exchange them for jade bracelets?" "Of course you can. Whatever Fu Niur wants, uncle will buy it for you." Li Zhensheng carefully kissed his niece's forehead, feeling extremely happy. The old Li family must have smoke coming out of their ancestral graves, otherwise how could such a good child be reincarnated? The Marquis looked at the sky outside, received the good news and said, My foster father, uncle, and your father will be busy for a few days, so you should stay at home. If you have nothing to do, you can go back to the Marquis mansion to stay for a few days. Okay, stepfather, don't worry. Fu Niu is obedient. Ji Yin patted her little chest. Her cute little look made people feel sweet. After walking all the way to the gate, Mr. Ho handed the good news to Aunt He. At this time, Li Laozi also brought the horse over. The three of them got on the horse, greeted the soldiers, and disappeared in a blink of an eye. In the orchard, the villagers were busy picking fruits. Seeing this, they asked Li Lao, "Is Mr. Da leaving again?" "No," Li Lao wiped the sweat from his forehead and said with a smile, "Master Ho has some important errands and I need my elder brother to help." After that, he changed the topic and shouted to everyone, "Everyone, please work harder. Someone from the Lu family came to rush for you this morning. They said that the fruit they brought back last night was sold out today. It also means that as many as you pick will be taken away. We have been busy for a year, and we are finally about to see the harvest. These are not red fruits, but golden fruits." Everyone laughed. Mr. Second is so right. I had a dream last night. The trees were full of golden fruits, not to mention how beautiful they are. Some people also said, if the money is divided again this year, it's time to show my mistress a daughter-in-law. My family is the same. The girl's dowry must be prepared early. Actually, I think it's better to find a son-in-law for the girl. If you marry into your husband's family, you don't know how you will endure the hardships. Besides, there is no place as rich as our Sujintan. That's right, let's plan it like this first, and we'll talk about it later. Someone asked Li Lao, "Mr. Er's family must be reluctant to let Fu Niu get married, right?" Before Li Lao could respond, someone jumped in and said, "Of course, we Fu Niu are so lucky. If we get married, wouldn't it be an advantage to outsiders? We must find a son-in-law." Others also nodded, "Then you have to choose carefully." Li Lao couldn't laugh or cry when he heard this. How old is Fu Niu? It's too early to say this. Not to mention how everyone in the orchard was gossiping and noisy. It was just that Mr. Ho, Li Zhensheng, and Li Laozi joined Lu's Haiheng and rushed all the way to Yunhe town. Everyone stood on the ridge of the field, looking at the large fields of corn stalks swaying in the autumn wind. On each stalk, there is a corn cob that is nearly a foot long. The naughty golden corn grains have broken free from the shackles of the coat and are extremely dazzling in the sun. End of this chapter. Dressed as a farm boy, he cheated on his way out of the desert. Author, Delayed Flowering. Chapter 364. Chapter 364 Auspiciousness descends from heaven. Lu's Haiheng was so proud that he wanted to raise his head and chest, but unfortunately his huge belly went out first. But he doesn't have time to worry about it so much, he is so excited now. You know, there are a total of 500 acres of land here, including 50 acres of potatoes and 450 acres of corn. They were planted in the spring until they are about to be harvested. He follows them from beginning to end. The whole body is as black as charcoal due to the sun, all because of these grains. How could he not be excited when it was finally time to harvest? "Master Ho, can we start harvesting?" Lu's Haiheng asked. The Marquis nodded and said, "Let me measure it strictly, 1 acre of potatoes and 1 acre of corn, and weigh them on site after harvesting." Yes, Lu's Haiheng rolled up his sleeves, brought a few people with him and started to pull the rope to measure. Li Zhensheng and Li Laozi also jumped down from the field to help. Soon, 2 square pieces of land were measured. Everyone worked together to break the corn, cut the stalks, and even peel the corn kernels on the spot. The potato seedlings were also cut and thrown aside. The plow went down to the ground and directly opened the ridges, exposing the round potatoes to the sky. Even the Marquis tucked up his gown, carried a basket, and picked up potatoes together. It's easy to work when there are many people. The trustworthy stewards of the Lu family and the marquis personal soldiers, dozens of people, all started working together. After more than half an hour, the corn stalks, corn cobs and corn kernels were clearly distinguished. Clear. Potatoes are also divided into different sizes and put into light shielding sacks. Two stewards brought up a large scale and weighed out 700 kilograms of corn kernels, which is about 7 dan per mu. Potatoes are nearly 2,000 kilograms, which is about 20 dan per mu. Everyone looked at the mess on the ground and fell silent. Suddenly, a young steward who was born in poverty fell to his knees and cried loudly, "What auspiciousness from heaven! Wiavu, I will never be afraid of hunger again. Wiavu, my mother just starved to death. How can such good food be so good? It just appeared. If it had been earlier, how many people would have survived? Auspiciousness descends from heaven, auspiciousness descends from heaven." Everyone seemed to be ignited by the cry and danced with joy. Some people hugged each other and jumped, some knelt down and kissed the ground, and some held the grain bags and didn't let go. Food is the most important thing for the people, and a full stomach is the simplest and most urgent desire of everyone. With such high-yielding good food, everyone will no longer be afraid of going hungry. Mr. Ho grabbed a handful of corn kernels and his face turned red with excitement. These few hundred acres of grain in front of us will become tens of thousands of acres next year. The pace of recovering half of the rivers and mountains will no longer have to stop because of lack of food. Li Zhensheng also breathed a long sigh of relief. This year, no matter where he was thinking about these new grains. After all, this new food was brought back by him from the south. It is also the hope of giving the Li family wings to fly, and it is also the strongest armor to protect the whole family. From now on, whoever grows corn and potatoes will have to respect the Li family. If they bully the Li family, they will be ungrateful and will be cast aside by everyone. He took a deep breath and asked, "Master Marquis, are you going to report it?" The Marquis nodded and said, "Pack a few potatoes and a few kilograms of corn for me. I will go to the palace to announce the good news. You don't need to prepare to pick me up, just work without any worries." Lu Haiheng and Li Zhensheng understood each other and quickly agreed, "Don't worry, Mr. Ho, we are here." Lu Haiheng usually does business as a businessman and is best at reading people's hearts. He took the steward and made careful arrangements, and actually cut 7 or 8 stalks with corn cobs, tied them tightly, and asked the Marquis soldiers to carry them. Potatoes were also pulled out and put into the basket along with the potato seedlings. In this way, anyone with eyes, once they see it, will be shocked by the high yield of new grains, which is much better than simply reporting the quantity. Li Zhensheng couldn't help but give Lu Haiheng a thumbs-up gesture. Lu Haiheng was so proud that he raised his head and laughed. The streets of Xindu have always been overcrowded. Due to the influx of a large number of people and wealthy families from Jiangbei, it is difficult to find a house in Xindu, and it is not easy to stay here for a while. This day was the great court meeting, and the entrance to the palace was crowded with carriages and horses. The servants of each family are waiting for their masters to leave the court, and they occasionally chat with each other, which is quite comfortable. Suddenly, the rumble of horse hooves broke the tranquility. Soon, a dozen fast horses stopped in front of the palace gate. The man in front took out a gold medal and gestured to the guards guarding the gate. The palace gate was immediately opened, and the horse team quickly ran in. Everyone was startled and started talking. "What's going on? Are the barbarians from Jiangbei coming? No way, didn't we just win the battle and drive the barbarians out for hundreds of miles? I'm not sure, the one who won the gold medal just now is Marquis Xinting. There are still people carrying branches and baskets on their backs. Even if there is a war, they won't bring these back to ask for help." Everyone was talking lively, but they were also nervous, stretching their heads and looking towards the palace entrance. "I hope someone can come out and explain it clearly." As a result, Less than half an hour later, the palace door opened again. It was still the Marquis of Zinting who ran out first with his own soldiers, followed by the bright yellow royal chariot. Is this the emperor leaving the palace? Everyone was shocked. What happened? The emperor has left the palace. But before they could figure it out, the masters of each family ran out panting, jumped directly onto the carriage, and shouted, "Quick, quick, follow the chariot. Go to Yunhee town." Yunhee town? Some coachmen don't know where Yunhee town is at all, but if they follow the group, they will definitely not go wrong. But there were also local coachmen who knew about Yunhee town, so they were even more puzzled. It's just a small town. I haven't heard of any natural treasures or any outstanding people living in seclusion. What are the emperor and his ministers going to do? Soon, the entire Zindu was shocked by the sudden departure of the emperor and the ministers following him. Some of the brave ones followed and watched the excitement. The timid ones just stood at the gate of the city and started talking. It originally took 2 or 3 hours to reach the destination, which was dozens of miles away, but this time, it only took 1 hour. Because the emperor was impatient, he changed horses not far from the city. It's okay if the ministers can ride a horse, but those who can't can only stare. But fortunately, they still had guards or stewards, and the two of them rode together and managed to catch up. Yunhee town, Lu family's Zhuangzi. Lu's Haiheng, Li Zhensheng, Li Laosi, and others harvested another 7 or 8 acres of corn. They were very tired. After lunch, they leaned on the corn stalks to eat, bask in the sun and blow in the autumn breeze. Suddenly I heard a noise, and a few people stood on the straw pile and saw that they were all busy. The first to arrive were the emperor and the officials from the Department of Agriculture and Forestry, especially the officials from the Department of Agriculture and Forestry. Their hats were all gone and their clothes were in a mess, but they didn't care about anything and rushed directly to the field. Is this corn? Are these potatoes? Are there really 7 or 20 dan per mu? The emperor also personally broke off a big corn cob from the straw. He was so excited that he said, "Hurry up and measure the land. I want to see the grain weighed in person." Lu's Haiheng, Li Zhensheng, and others didn't even have time to kowtow, so they hurriedly got busy. Soon, another acre of unharvested corn and potato fields was measured. End of this chapter. Dressed as a farm boy, he cheated on his way out of the desert. Author, Delayed Flowering. Chapter 365. Chapter 365, If you are not an actor, you cannot be a good courtier. The corn was directly broken off the cob, and a bunch of courtiers rushed up to it, peeled off the corn husks, and then clumsily rubbed the corn kernels. In the potato field, the plows cut the ridges, and countless people rushed in to pick up the potatoes. Li Zhensheng had a headache after reading it, and asked the steward to read it a second time. Because there were too many people, some potatoes were stepped back into the soil. In this way, it took a full hour of busy work before the corn kernels and potatoes were weighed. Needless to say, the proven high-yield figures made everyone excited. An old minister fell to his knees and cried loudly. Some people took corn stalks and rolled them around, and some even took potatoes and started gnawing them raw. The old man of the Lu family is an old fox who has been in the officialdom for many years. Lu's Haiheng is quite familiar with such scenes. At this moment, he pretended to be extremely excited on his face, but in fact he was complaining from time to time in his heart. These people took the scientific examination back then. The test was not about articles, but about acting skills, right? This crying is so exaggerated that my nose is dripping with tears. And what happened to the one who finished eating the potatoes and then started to eat the potato seedlings? Can he bite it? Li Zhensheng and Li Laosi rarely had such experience. They looked at each other and hid behind the Marquis. The Marquis's cold face could defeat all the evil spirits and heretics in the world. Sure enough, Some of the ministers may have overacted and were confused for a moment, and even wanted to make the Marquis cry bitterly. But before they even got close, their faces were frozen by the coldness surrounding the Marquis. They quickly turned around to find others to cooperate with, and continued to express their excitement and joy. The Emperor is so happy. Even though he had known about it for a long time and had sent secret guards to pay attention to this area throughout the year, now that there were hundreds of acres of high-yield grain in front of him, he still couldn't help but feel excited. These two new grains have solved Tianwu's urgent need. Originally, the court and people moved to the south of the Yangtze River, and only half of the land had to support all the people of Tianwu. This was not enough. He and the civil and military officials were worried. Especially for him, the emperor, who lost half of the country in his hands and has already been engraved with a pillar of shame. If Jiangbei cannot be recaptured in his hands, he will be reviled by all the people for thousands of years to come. The appearance of these two new foods is simply a sign of auspiciousness sent down by God, as he still cares for Tianwu. He, the emperor, has not been forgotten by heaven. His precarious status will be impregnable again. Auspicious blessings from heaven, bless Tianwu, the emperor cheered loudly, holding a corn cob in one hand and a big potato in the other. The performances of all the courtiers finally reached a unified stage. They all knelt down, kowtowed to the emperor, and shouted loudly. The auspiciousness descends from heaven, bless Tianwu. The auspiciousness descends from heaven and bless Tianwu. For a time, sounds echoed in the fields. The emperor asked again, "Where is Li Zhensheng? Where is Lu Haiheng?" Li Zhensheng and Lu Haiheng immediately knelt forward and kowtowed, saying, "The grassroots are here." The emperor said, "The Marquis of Xinting reported that one of you got such high-yielding new grain from the hands of the monks in Quanzhou, and the other worked hard to have the harvest now, and to have such auspiciousness come to the world. I will reward you heavily. Can you get something, please, just say it?" Lu Haiheng chuckled and replied, "Your Majesty, Cao Min's father often said that Cao Min is useless. He has liked money since childhood and is not the material for studying. Therefore, Cao Min wants to ask the emperor to reward Cao Min with a false position and occasionally go to court with his father. Cao Min also, now that I have taken off my hat as an idiot. Of course, my old father can no longer scold the common people." What he said was so humorous that everyone was originally filled with tears and excitement, but now they were almost amused. Especially Mrs. Lu, who hurried forward and almost scolded his son through gritted teeth, "How dare you tell the family joke in front of the emperor? Besides, you only planted a few acres of land, how can you have any credit, and you are so shameless to ask for it, official position?" The emperor waved his hand and said with a smile, "Master Lu, what you said is wrong. The new grain will have a high yield next year, and there is really no shortage of people who can guide the planting." After that, he said loudly, "Lu Haiheng, listen to the decree. I will appoint you as a fourth-grade doctor and serve as the Department of Agriculture and Forestry. You will assist the Department of Agriculture and Forestry in promoting the planting of new grains next year." Kowtow to express gratitude. When he got up, he raised his chin at old Mrs. Lu. This look of a villain who succeeds made everyone laugh. The emperor looked at Li Zhensheng again and said, "Li Zhensheng, you have the greatest credit for the new grain coming to the world. If you have anything you want, just say it." Li Zhensheng kowtowed and said seriously, "Your Majesty, Cao Min's life experience is strange. He has been away from home for many years. As the eldest son, he failed to fulfill his responsibilities to his mother and protect his younger brother. He has been grudged and has trouble sleeping and eating. Nowadays, the common people rely on the emperor for great blessings. They have this chance to obtain high-yield grain, and they want to use this meager contribution to seek a royal life for their mother and a vacant position for their second brother. Firstly, my mother is old and she no longer has to be bullied because of her low status. Secondly, I can also compensate my second brother for giving up his dream of studying because I am missing and have to shoulder the burden of supporting the family. From now on, when I'm out and about, I don't have to worry about home anymore." The emperor and the ministers were a little stunned when they heard this. With such a good opportunity and such great achievements, Li Zhensheng could just ask for a hereditary duke for himself. But he asked for a royal decree for his mother and an official position for his brother, without even thinking about himself. This man is really too caring and righteous. Especially when some ministers thought of the intrigues at home, they really envied the unity and harmony of the Li family, and even more envied the Li family for having such an eldest son. The emperor helped Li Zhensheng stand up with his own hands and said, "I just said that if you ask for anything, I will definitely grant it. Since you ask for these two things, then I will make your mother a first-grade imperial concubine and grant you the title of Li family. The second son is Zhongshanbo, hereditary. The first-grade imperial concubine is the highest grade of a female imperial concubine. Although it is rare, there are 7 or 8 of them in Tianwu, so it is not particularly rare. And they are usually elderly women. They just get some salary and are respected when they go out. When life ends, this glory will be gone. But the Earl is different. He has a salary and 100 people to protect him. He can attend court meetings and submit memorials to heaven. To put it bluntly, this is an official position without specific errands, but you can express your opinions at any time and influence the court." The Li family got this title, and from then on they were completely squeezed into Tianwu's powerful class. What's more, this title is hereditary. As long as the Li family does not rebel or usurp the throne, this title can be passed down from generation to generation. Others are just paying it forward, at most they are envious and jealous of the Li family for having such an adventure. But Dingbei couldn't help it. Although he had never had a direct conflict with the Li family. But whether it was he Li's ex-wife, the Jiao family's brother-in-law who was demoted from an official position, or the Lu family who had always been against him, or the Xinting Marquis who suppressed him everywhere and couldn't lift his head. Which one of them is not on good terms with the Li family and has innumerable connections? I don't know if it will do any harm to him if the Li family gains momentum, but it will definitely do no good. Dingbei immediately stepped forward and said, "Your Majesty, the Li family is just a refugee. Is this reward too generous?" End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Dressed as a farm boy, he cheated on his way out of the desert. Author, Delayed Flowering. Chapter 366. Chapter 366 Mr. Wang regrets his heartbreak. The emperor glanced at him with a sneer and asked, "Dingbei thinks my reward is too generous? Well, Dingbei can leave for Quanzhou immediately. When can I bring back 2 high-yielding grains that are comparable to corn and potatoes, I will. What do you think of making you a prince?" Dingbei was wilted at that time. Let's not talk about whether high-yielding grain can be found again. If it can't be found, he will not be able to return to Xindu. Will he have to stay in Quanzhou for the rest of his life? He quickly kowtowed and apologized, "Your Majesty, I know I was wrong." "Humph, go back and think about it for a month. You will be fined for half a year. If you don't know how to speak and act carefully again, you don't have to do it." The emperor flicked his sleeves, and Dingbei Ho retreated in cold sweat. Li Zhensheng quickly stepped forward, knelt down, and kowtowed in thanks. This time he was really excited. He would no longer have to worry about being bullied at home. Everyone came forward to congratulate him, whether sincerely or not. Wang Baoyi, the old lady of the Wang family, was standing behind the crowd with his head lowered. There was nothing on his face, but he had mixed feelings in his heart. Had he known that Li Zhensheng had such an adventure and that the Li family had such luck, he would have tried to mediate and promote a good relationship between the Wang family and the Li family. As long as Li Zhensheng is cured of his illness and supported in his return to the Li family will definitely not dig into the past with their two children, one surnamed Wang and the other surnamed Li. Then everything will be covered up, and the relatives of the two families will move around more. Now everything about the Li family will be the help of the Wang family. What a pity, it's a pity that I was arrogant and didn't take the Li family seriously. The Li family suddenly jumped from being a refugee to a new noble in Tianwu. Still an upstart who has a grudge against the Wang family. If anyone has clairvoyance, he will definitely be able to see that Mrs. Wang's intestines have turned blue and purple. However, some courtiers who were usually at odds with him did not want to miss this opportunity to laugh at him. They stepped forward and said with a smile, "Congratulations to Mr. Wang. The Li family was once an in-law of the Wang family. Now the Li family has a hereditary earl with a royal wife. Oh, there is also Princess Kangol, who has risen to great heights in one step. She will definitely take more care of the Wang family in the future. I'm afraid you will be happier than anyone else, right?" Mrs. Wang gritted her teeth angrily, secretly regretting why she went to court today. If she had been sick at home, wouldn't she have had to suffer such humiliation? What embarrasses him most is that the fertile field in front of him clearly belongs to their Wang family. Now it is growing high-yield grain, but it has nothing to do with their family. Old Mrs. Wang became angrier and angrier as she thought about it. Her vision went dark and she almost fell to the ground. It's a pity that no one has the intention to take care of him. At this moment, the emperor had rolled up his sleeves and went to the fields to collect corn himself. Even if all the civil and military officials dared to be lazy, they all followed closely and joined the army of looting. Not to mention how lively Yunhe town is, I just want to say that dusk at Broken Gold Beach is a rare moment of peace and joy. The villagers have been picking apples for a day, and the hills on the west side of the hot spring valley are already empty. The baskets of fruits were loaded onto the carriage. The stewards and servants of the Lu family said goodbye to everyone with a smile, and then returned home loaded with loads. The villagers were very tired, so each of them grabbed a fruit and sat under the big tree at the entrance of the village, chatting and quenching their thirst. The village chief uncle waved his pipe pot and encouraged, "We will work harder tomorrow and pick another hilltop, but everyone remember to pick out the good fruit trees and leave 6 or 7. We will pick it before it is frozen, and then each family will share it. The children will not say anything sweet, but we will save it until the Chinese New Year and put it on 2 plates as a tribute, so that the ancestors of each family can also taste the freshness." Okay, let's listen to the village chief uncle. "We don't know the price of our fruit yet. Let's eat it quickly, otherwise we won't be able to bear to eat it after we find out." "Haha, Mr. Lu is a capable man, and he will definitely be able to sell it for a lot of money. After a busy few days, I went to cut 2 kilograms of meat to make dumplings for dinner. I have been too tired recently, so I must reward my belly." The villagers were talking and laughing, causing the village chief to hit them. "When I was in the north before, I have been soaking in the ground every day, peeling off a layer of skin from my back, and I haven't heard you say you are tired. Now you are tired of picking fruits? There are too many good days, and they are burning you." Everyone was not angry after being scolded, but laughed. The life is lively when young people raise their tails from time to time and old people shake their shoe soles to scare people. The chimneys of every house were smoking, and the women were busy cooking. On the stone strip outside the wall of Li's courtyard, naughty boys were sitting in a row, all nibbling fruits. At this time of year, the daylight is not bad, but it becomes a bit cold as the sun sets. Jian was afraid that the stone would get cold on his sister's butt, so he held his sister in his arms and sat on his lap. Jiexi took the fruit in his mouth and quickly took off his coat and put it on his sister. Brother Cat thought for a while and took the fruit from his sister's hand. Like a little rabbit, his mouth moved crazily. He chewed the peel off a few times and then stuffed the fruit back into his sister's hand with a big smile. His white teeth were shining brightly. "Sister, if you eat it, there will be no skin left." Jian blinked his big eyes twice. He couldn't laugh or cry, so he could only lower his head and start eating. "It doesn't matter whether you are salivating or not. This is all my brother's love, love." Shui Ling stood aside and couldn't help but cover her mouth, snickering until her stomach hurt. "Grandma," he came out of the courtyard carrying a small cloak. When she saw that the young lady was tightly wrapped, she didn't come forward. Just when she was about to talk to Shui Ling, a group of people came running on the path outside the village. The villagers were startled and stood up, wondering who would come in such a hurry at this time. The village chief even shouted to the children, "Hurry into the yard and don't come out unless I greet you." Jia Ngxi was very curious, but he still picked up his sister, grabbed his brother, and quickly entered the door of his house with his friends. The team of men and horses gradually approached, and everyone saw that the person sitting immediately was actually a eunuch, followed by soldiers with the word forbidden written on their chests, so they became even more confused. How many times had the village chief been to the palace? He said to everyone, "Don't be afraid, these are the imperial guards, who protect the emperor, and the eunuchs who also serve the emperor." His voice was a bit high, and the eunuchs and guards on the horse heard him. The was not angry. He jumped off his horse and said with a smile, "Old village chief, our family recognized you from a distance. When you went to present the jade melon to the palace, it was our family that showed you the way." "Oh, father-in-law, I'm really sorry. I'm an ordinary old farmer. I was so frightened that my legs went weak once I entered the palace. It's good that I didn't faint. I really can't remember who I met." The village chief quickly bowed and apologized. But the helped the village chief and said with a smile, "Old village chief, you are welcome. Your broken gold beach is a treasure land given by the emperor for feng shui. The emperor is always thinking about it. I'm afraid there will be more good things in the future. Maybe our family will have to stay together. Come and visit this treasured land frequently, and I will ask you to take more care of me when the time comes." Having said that, he showed the bright yellow corner of his arms and said, "Excuse me, village chief, please help our family to inform us and ask the old lady of the Li family and the second son of the Li family, Li Yisheng, to take over the order." "Oh, it's an imperial edict." Before the village chief could respond, the villagers had already screamed and ran into the Li family yard. Li Lauer was picking fruits today and accidentally stretched his waist. He was lying on the kong and asked my mother to help him rub it with medicinal wine. So, these two women had no idea what was happening outside the courtyard gate. Suddenly I heard villagers shouting in the yard, and the old lady was frightened to drop the medicinal wine bottle in her hand. Li Lauer turned over and climbed up. While tying his clothes, he blocked my mother behind him and said, "Mom, don't worry, I'll go take a look." End of this chapter. Dressed as a farm boy, he cheated on his way out of the desert. Author, Delayed Flowering. Chapter 367. Chapter 367. The most correct decision in this life. Fortunately, Jian, Jiaxi and Jian ran into the house and shouted, "Grandma, second uncle. Someone is coming with an imperial edict." Imperial edict? Li Lauer and the old lady both breathed a sigh of relief, but still hurried out the door. Tao Hongying came out of the kitchen while taking off her apron, and stepped forward to help the old lady. "Grandma," he brought Shui Ling Shui Yun and was already busy preparing the incense table. In fact, it is just a matter of setting up a long small table, moving an incense burner, and lighting 3 incense sticks to express respect and offer the imperial power. Then, the Li family opened the door and welcomed the who came in. The young and old of the Li family knelt in the courtyard, and the villagers knelt outside the yard. Everyone bowed their heads to listen to the order. They did not show any airs and read the decree loudly. Everyone could not understand those gorgeous rhetoric, but everyone understood the title of the first-grade lady and Li Lauer as an earl. Appreciate this. As soon as the last two words were spoken, everyone stretched their necks and shouted, "Thank you, Your Majesty, long live Your Majesty, long live Your Majesty." Li Laoer helped his mother stand up, then took the imperial edict with both hands and enshrined it on the incense table. The smiled and raised his hands in salute, "Congratulations to the old lady, congratulations to the uncle." Same joy, Li Laoer's face flushed with excitement, and he quickly returned the gift, and finally asked, "Father, we are at home and have never gone out. I really don't know where I can take credit for this sudden favor from the emperor." The laughed and said, "I don't know something. The eldest son of your house has obtained high-yield new grain in the south. Today's harvest is good," which alerted the emperor and the civil and military officials of the Manchu dynasty to harvest together. The emperor said that such a high yield of grain is a blessing from heaven and will benefit the country and the people. He will reward the eldest man of your house and the eldest son of the Liu family. Mr. Liu has been given a fourth-grade position in the Department of Agriculture and Forestry, and will help expand the business in the future. Plant new food. When it was the turn of the eldest man of your house, the eldest man said that he had left home since he was a child and was ashamed of the old lady and you as a brother. Therefore, he wanted to ask for a royal title for the old lady and a casual position for you. The emperor immediately granted the title. The old lady has granted you the title of Zhongshanbo, and it is hereditary. The old lady and Li Laoer finally understood. Li Laoer's eyes suddenly turned red. They are all brothers in the same family. How can he compare what happened before? Besides, the eldest brother was also harmed when he was away from home. As brothers, it is too late to feel sorry for him, so how can he complain? I do not want the elder brother to keep in my heart. Today, I abandon everything and give him an official position, just to fulfill his wish to study as an official. Mrs. Li also wiped away tears. She told her eldest son earlier that the Yan family had come to cause trouble, but she didn't care. Instead, her eldest son felt that she had been wronged and it stayed in his heart. Today, I even begged her for a life order, just so that she would never be bullied by anyone again. Jiyan saw that her grandma and second uncle were both sighing, and her mother was just happy. No one greeted the eunuch, so she hurriedly ran to get 2 fruits and gave them to the eunuch. "Uncle, eat the fruits. They are grown on the mountain at my home. They are so sweet." The eunuchs have never seen the good news, but the people they serve in the palace wish they had 10,000 holes in their hearts, and the most intelligent ones are the most intelligent ones. Almost instantly, he guessed that this was Princess Kangal of the Li family and the adopted daughter of the Marquis. He quickly bent down, took the fruit, and said with a smile, "Oh, thank you, Princess, for the reward." At this moment, Li Laoer also realized what he was doing and quickly invited him into the house for tea. But the refused and explained, "I'll come and try uncle's good tea next time. It's going to get dark soon. We have to rush back to the city, so we won't disturb uncle." Li Laoer has no choice but to stay, so he wants to send people out. At this time, Jiyan pulled his sleeve and gave him a purse. Li Laoer subconsciously pinched a handful and found 2 small gold picks inside, and suddenly felt very ashamed. He was so happy and confused that he was even worse than his 4-year-old niece, who actually forgot to reward her. Li Laoer hurriedly took a few steps forward, gave his purse, and exchanged a few words with him before sending him away. The villagers had been holding back for a long time, and finally they could speak. So everyone rushed forward and asked all kinds of questions. "Second sir, are you an uncle now? What does hereditary succession mean? Can sons and grandsons inherit it? And my aunt will be Mrs. Jaoming in the future. I heard that Mrs. Jaoming doesn't have to kneel when she meets an official. Doesn't anyone dare to bully her?" The village chief shouted to everyone, "Shut up first and listen to the second gentleman speak slowly." Li Laoer was also happy and said with a smile, "My eldest brother brought back some new and improved seeds from outside in the spring, and now we have a good harvest." The emperor was very happy and made my mother the first-grade imperial concubine. This title can only be given to the mother or daughter-in-law of a first-grade official. Except for the queen mother and empress in the palace, my mother does not have to kneel to anyone else. My position as earl is hereditary, which means that as long as our Lee family does not commit treason, our descendants can continue to inherit and remain earl. The villagers gasped in shock and then became ecstatic. It's great, the emperor's grace is so great. Fu Niu has just become the princess, and Aunt Li has become the royal wife. You can no longer call me Mr. Er, you should call me uncle. Mrs. Li hugged her granddaughter and said with a smile, we can't control what outsiders call us, but how our family is doing on a daily basis will be how it will be in the future. No matter how generous the emperor's reward is, our family still has 2 eyes and 1 mouth. Everyone burst into laughter. That's true, my aunt is still so happy. After joking for a while, the village chief said, sister, shouldn't we celebrate such a happy event? Of course, the old lady was thinking about this just now. It's too late today. Let's hold a banquet tomorrow. Let's liven up the village. We invite the people from Deweishu, Dewangjuang, and Xiaoangjuang, as well as the villagers who helped build the archway to have a drink. All 3 of their villages are Fu Niu. My son's fiefdom will be considered half of my own family from now on. Okay, everyone, let's go back to eat and sleep. Get up early tomorrow, it's not too late to pick the fruits on the mountain all day long. Let's have some fun first. The village chief waved his pipe and pot, which settled the matter. The villagers were filled with excitement and dispersed one after another. They began to follow the Li family when they came from Qingshui village and fled all the way here. It can be said that the reason they have such a good life with no worries about food and clothing is because they followed in the footsteps of the Li family. Facts have proved that this is also the most correct decision they have ever made. Although their surname is not Li, they share the blessings and misfortunes of the Li family. Now the Li family has a princess, a wife named Jiaoming, and an uncle. I don't know what kind of more amazing fortune will come in the future. As long as they don't fall behind, their lives will definitely get better. The Li family closed the courtyard gate, and everyone was happy. Jia An's family is happy to sit next to her grandma, and the good news is sitting in her mother's arms. Brother Cat was restrained on the second uncle, looking left and right, and finally pulled the second uncle's beard. Seeing the second uncle frowning in pain, he said with satisfaction, second uncle is still the second uncle, he has not turned into some count. The old lady couldn't help laughing, Earl is an official position. Your second uncle will only be an official from now on. How can he turn into a monster? End of this chapter. Dressed as a farm boy, he cheated on his way out of the desert. Author, Delayed Flowering. Chapter 368. Chapter 368. Zhuang is a good cover. Jiyan hugged her mother's neck and said, Mom, I want to find my third uncle and my uncle and ask them to come back and eat meat. Of course, don't worry, you won't forget it. Tao Hongying nodded her daughter's little nose and said to the old lady, Mom, for such a big happy event, the third brother and his family must come back, so that everyone can be happy together. And Mr. Peng, he is now an in-law of our family, we have to invite him over for a drink at such a happy event, otherwise it will be rude to our family. Li Lauer added, Mr. Wen and Mrs. Kui are also going to invite them, and the Lu family will definitely have a banquet, but it won't start tomorrow, so I have to tell them. Then just ask Jinro to go there. Mrs. Lu is a nice person. The 2 boys from the Lu family are having fun together, so they all want to come and have fun together. The old lady also asked, also Daong is at the dock. Get up early and ask someone to call him quickly. It's just an errand. It would be best if he comes back. Madame Hui and the child haven't seen him for several days. Good. Li Lauer asked his nephews to get pens and ink, and quickly made a list. Seeing that there was nothing he could do to help, Ji-yin jumped down to the ground and said to his grandma, "Grandma, I want to go to my foster father's place to sleep." The old lady was surprised. "Your adoptive father is out there and won't be back tonight." Grandma, he stood at the door and said, "Don't worry, old lady, I will keep vigil for the young lady." The old lady thought that she would be very busy tomorrow. "Okay, then you can take Funiur there and cover her up frequently at night so that Funiur doesn't get a cold stomach." "Yes, old lady." Grandma, he stepped forward to salute, then bent down and carried the good news on her back before walking out. Shui Ling hurriedly followed. Shui Yun stayed and entered the west wing. Huanayan couldn't go out during her confinement period, so she was very anxious in her room. At this moment, Shui Yun heard that the old lady and Li Laoer had both received rewards. There would be a banquet at home tomorrow and Li Yong would be called back. She happily hugged the two children. "Your father will come back tomorrow and ask you to cause trouble, your father will spank you then." The two children seemed to understand, and both started crying at the top of their lungs, causing Huanayang and Shui Yun to coax them in a hurry for a long time. Dong Mei was also kneeling outside the courtyard just now to listen to the order. Of course she knew that there would be a big banquet tomorrow. At this moment, she was unpacking a suitcase and looking for clothes for good news. Tomorrow will not only be a happy event for the old lady and the second gentleman, but the Princess Ji-yin will also be the protagonist. Seeing that Nanny he came to live with the good news, she knew what was going on. She told Nanny he and Shui Ling to rest first, and she would come and keep vigil at night. Mammy he still wanted to refuse, so Ji-yin put her arms around Dong Mei's neck and raised her finger to point to a water-red coat and a gold-embroidered skirt. Grandma he lowered her head and retreated. Early in the morning of the second day, before it got dark, the entire Broken Gold Beach became busy. Ji Yi had already gone to Luoan on horseback to report the news, while Lu Yang went to the dock camp. Li Laoer also went out personally to invite Mr. Wen and Mrs. Kui, and asked Mrs. Kui to go to the Lu family on the way. Fortunately, today is Xiu Mu, and Mr. Wen did not go to court or to the yamen. As soon as Li Laoer came to the door, he laughed and said, "Congratulations, Uncle Li." Li Laoer laughed and said, "Sir, you are so well informed. New grain has come out, and the emperor has rewarded the Li family heavily." "How could such a big thing be hidden?" Mr. Wen said with a smile. "To be honest with you, everyone knows that I travel a lot with your family. This little courtyard last night I received 3 groups of guests and drank 2 pots of tea." Li Laoer heard that he was trying, so he said, "Sir, you also know that our family is not willing to mix too much with these families in the city, so today, only the few families who are close to each other and the newlyweds are having a banquet at home. Mr. Peng, there is no outsider." Mr. Wen nodded in agreement. "That's how it should be. These people in the city are all unprofitable, so it's better to ignore them." As the two of them talked, they took Wen Hai and rushed to the Kui family's village. Mrs. Kui also heard the good news and was loading people into the car to go to Sujintan. Li Laoer asked her to go to Liu's house, and she immediately agreed. "Originally I thought Lu's Haiheng was not at home, so Mrs. Lu could just bring her 2 children over." Unexpectedly, Mrs. Lu also got in the car. He was planning to be a good friend of the Li family. Mrs. Kui was so happy that she accompanied her all the way to Broken Gold Beach. In Broken Gold Beach, the village chief was leading people to move things out from Yes yard. There were baskets of eggs and duck eggs, piles of green vegetables, several cages of rabbits, a large basin of live fish, and a big fat pig that was killed. The village chief smiled happily and kept praising him. "The zhuangzi that Mr. Ho gave to Funiur is really good. He sent so many things overnight. Look at these beans and spinach, they are so fresh. This must be the second crop planted in the summer, and the garden has just opened now. Our village vegetable garden has all been pruned, and we will try to plant the second crop next year." As he was talking, the live fish in the basin jumped up and splashed a lot of water, which made the old man laugh even more. Is there a fish pond on the village? This fish is so lively. Dong Mei smiled and occasionally responded with a sentence or two. No one was surprised at all, because Dong Mei didn't talk much on weekdays. After everyone carried the fat pig out, the village chief shouted to the villagers, "Hurry up and bleed it. Be careful, if you delay it for a long time, the meat will smell fishy." The villagers laughed, and someone responded, "Don't worry, uncle, we are also experts at killing pigs now. We were reluctant to touch the ones in our pen at first, but unexpectedly, the villagers from outside sent them." Yes, another villager also said, "Does Zhuang also raise white pigs? They are really fatter than the ones we raise. It's just that this pig is a bit fierce. Why did it get killed on the way? Ah, no matter how it died, we are in luck." Everyone was chatting and laughing, and soon everything was moved away. Dong Mei breathed a sigh of relief, turned around and saw Shui Ling's eyes rolling around, and patted her head, "Talk less, work more. There are many people today, so you can't leave the lady's side at any time, do you understand?" Shui Ling nodded quickly and ran to Li's house next door. Jiyan was clinging to grandma's back like a monkey, smiling as she watched the villagers bleed and skin the fat pig. Mr. Li is very smart. He only glanced at these vegetables, fish, and eggs and knew that this was done by his granddaughter again. It's just that, now that Zhuang is a cover, she can do it openly, so she doesn't have to worry so much. But Mrs. Li still hit the little girl with her hand and said angrily, "You have to be more careful in the future, you know." "I know, Grandma." The good news was close to Grandma's ears, and she responded with a tender voice. The itchy old lady Li hid aside, and the grandfather and grandson burst into laughter. Grandma he brought Shui Ling forward, received the good news, and then advised the old lady, "Old lady, guests are coming soon, so hurry up and change your clothes. Okay, dress up well today. Even if I don't pay attention to that, I can't embarrass my children and grandchildren." The old lady smiled and walked into the house. Jiyan quickly called Shui Ling to follow her. Earlier, she and her parents and uncles arranged a lot of clothes and jewelry for the old lady, but unfortunately the old lady kept packing the bottom of the box. "Today is a good opportunity, you must take out all the good things to see the light of day. Grandma he has been serving in the palace for most of her life and has many talents. She is very good at helping the old lady change clothes, comb her hair, and pick out jewelry." After half an hour, the old lady looked brand new from head to toe, with a noble air all over her body. The good news clapped her hands and gave Grandma a big kiss on the face. "Grandma is so beautiful, like the Queen Mother." End of this chapter. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Dressed as a farm boy, he cheated on his way out of the desert. Author, Delayed Flowering. Chapter 369. Chapter 369. The Peng family has great luck. Mrs. Li was so coaxed that she burst into laughter. She grabbed her granddaughter and scolded her, "My lucky girl is a little fairy who has come down to earth, and she has actually seen the Queen Mother." Everyone laughed. They all say that Fu Niu is a little fairy. Of course she has seen all kinds of gods. At this time, Li Lao arrived first to pick up Mr. Wen. Mrs. Li took her granddaughter out and walked out. Mr. Wen also smiled and saluted, and praised her, "Auntie, your outfit today is so noble. It's so appropriate." Mrs. Li blushed slightly, pulled up her clothes and said with a smile, "I am enjoying my blessing. I dress up and show off to everyone how many good sons I have." As he was talking, there was the sound of horse hoofbeats outside the village. It turned out that Mr. Ho, Li Zhensheng, and Li Laosi were back, followed by Li Yong and Lu Yang whom they met on the road. It's a must, and it's a lively meal when everyone gets together. Li Yong went into the side room to see his children and wife. The two children had just finished eating and had gone to bed. Huanniang said a few words to him and then said, "The happy events in the family are happening one after another. It's a pity that I am in confinement and can't help. You don't have to worry about us. I'll take care of the child. Go outside and see if there's anything I can do to help. My aunt and fourth sister-in-law are very kind to me. Even Shui Yun and Aunt He always come to help. I feel bad about coaxing my children. Okay, I'll go right away, and you can sleep for a while. There are many happy events at home, and it won't take more than a month. You should take good care of yourself. From now on, Mr. Marquis and my fourth brother and I will go on an expedition. You will be indispensable to help my aunt and my fourth sister-in-law when." Li Yong gave a few words of advice, kissed his children, and walked out. The village chief will naturally lead people to do these dirty jobs of killing pigs, fish, chickens, and rabbits. While picking and washing vegetables, Tao Hongying, Aunt Wu, and other women were busy. Li Yong was unable to intervene and was about to go to the main room when Mrs. Kui arrived with the Lu family. Li Yong quickly reported the news. He heard that all the old men of the Lu family were here, and even the Marquis came to the door to greet him. Mr. Lu came to Sujintan again after a long time. When he got off the car, he was attracted by the excitement inside and outside the courtyard. The Lu family is a century-old noble family. They usually come from a scholarly and wealthy family. Every time there is a banquet, there will be plenty of food and wine, and there will be hordes of servants. The style is of course grand, and the luxury is truly luxurious, but it always lacks a bit of human touch. But at this moment, the Li family has set up a large stove outside the courtyard, and meat and bones are being cooked in the large pot. The water is simmering, and the fragrance is wafting far away. A dozen naughty boys were shouting and playing, and were laughed at and scolded by the woman from time to time. Some villagers picked vegetables, some washed and skinned rabbits, some fetched water, and some chopped firewood. Even those who have nothing to do sit around under the big tree and talk. Everyone was laughing and laughing, truly happy for the Li family, and looking forward to the banquet that was about to begin. Mr. Lu was immersed in this excitement and couldn't help but smile. When everyone came out and greeted each other, he couldn't help but said to Mrs. Li, "Old madam, you are so lucky. Not only do you have filial children and grandchildren, but you also have such harmonious and lively neighbors." Mrs. Li heard that Mr. Lu spoke with envy and praise, and she felt a little more proud in her heart. She smiled and responded, "The old man praised you. In a small rural place, this kind of liveliness can only be seen. But in our village the folks are really united and take good care of each other. When something happens to one family, every family will be happy." Soon, everyone entered the house. The old man called Jiyan and came forward. He saw that she was fairer, fatter, and cuter than last time, and he liked her too. He took a bunch of golden peanuts from his purse and handed it to her. Jiyan smiled and thanked him, and wanted to salute, but unfortunately he had just learned it for a few days and was not very proficient. He also overestimated the strength of his fat legs, so he actually sat down on the ground. Everyone laughed when they saw it. The old man quickly hugged Jiyan and stood up. "Dion Dion, the fat girl," said with a smile, "it's a pity that Haiheng and his wife gave birth to two boys and didn't give me such a cute little granddaughter. It doesn't matter if you have a grandson or not. If you get a wife in the future, the family will be more lively," the old lady said politely, and then called the two boys from the Lu family, Zhaiman and Jiaja. "Jian, Jiaxi, they are playing football outside, go find them, let's play." The two boys must abide by the rules at home and can only act wild when they come to Li's house. By now, they are already anxious. Hearing this, they quickly saluted, hugged the good news and ran out. Jiyan still wants to listen to the lively in the room. Unfortunately, the two boys still remember that the younger sister has the sweetest sugar ball here. After that, how can I let go of the chance of robbery? Hence, Ji-yin could only be carried on her shoulders, with her little hands stretched out, and she watched helplessly as the main room got further and further away from her. Everyone laughed at the reluctant appearance of the good news. Mrs. Lu scolded, "When these two boys in my family come to play, they want to jump up and break a hole in the roof. Oh, they are all boys, so they should be naughty. When they are not busy with school, throw them into our house for a few months, and we will keep you until you don't recognize your son again. He must be dark and strong." Seriously? Auntie, I'm not polite. If I have a chance, I will actually deliver it to you. They are very picky eaters at home. The old lady and Mrs. Lu chatted for a while, and then Mrs. Lu asked about the details of yesterday. Li Laozi said it from beginning to end, and then added at the end, "The Imperial Guards have taken over the Yunhe town area. Brother Lu will be busy with it for a few days. When the grain is harvested and returned to the warehouse, he will come back." Mr. Lu was happy. "The eldest son of my family has been the closest to me since I was a child. I originally thought he was the least promising, but I didn't expect that this time, he would skip the official position directly over his second and third brothers. Everyone has his or her own interests, and studying alone is not necessarily the only way to make a career," Mrs. Li advised. "As long as the children are filial and willing to endure hardship, there is nothing wrong with them." The Marquis also said, "There will be a banquet at home in a few days. The old gentleman will definitely let you know, and we will all go to get a wedding drink. It just so happens that we can take this opportunity to let everyone in Kyoto meet Auntie and Funiur. It will save you money if you don't open your eyes in the future, it will make Auntie and Funiur unhappy." Of course Mr. Lu will not refuse. Lu's Haihang's official position obtained yesterday was entirely due to the support of the Li family. The land from Seed to Yunhe town is owned by the Li family, and Lu's Haihang is just contributing. Now in the eyes of outsiders, the Lu family, the Li family, and even the Marquis are tied together. How could the Lu family not invite the Li family to the banquet? At this time, Li Laosan's family, Jiaran, and brother Li, and Mr. Peng finally arrived. Mr. Peng got out of the car and felt a little weak under his feet. The Peng family is really lucky. At first I thought I had wronged my daughter, but who would have thought that the Li family was like a monkey in the sky, rising directly from a small farming family to becoming a new noble in the world. End of this chapter. Dressed as a farm boy, he cheated on his way out of the desert. Author, Delayed Flowering. Chapter 370. Chapter 370. The sesame blossoms are getting higher and higher. Li Laoer and Li Laozi came out and greeted them with a smile. Mr. Peng quickly handed over his hands and said, "Congratulations, congratulations, uncle. For receiving such an honor, the family will be more powerful in the future, and life will be improved step by step." "Thank you very much, Mr. Peng," Li Laoer said with a smile. "It is only because of the Emperor's grace and the care of my elder brother that I can have such an honor." Li Laozi listened to the two people chatting. He patted Jiaran on the shoulder, rubbed brother Li's hair, and told him, "There are many people in the house today, so you should take care of yourselves." Li Laosan and Zhao Yuru were extremely happy. In just a few days, why did the family's mother become a royal family member, and how could the second brother become Zhongshan Bo? "Lao Si, what's going on?" "We rushed home as soon as we got the news, and we've been thinking about it all the time," Li Laosan asked directly. Li Laozi simply said a few words. "I heard that the eldest brother gave the credit to my mother and second brother," and Li Laosan also had red circles in his eyes. He choked up and said, "Brother, why bother? Why is my brother so polite? Besides, he has suffered a lot for so many years." Jiaran quickly advised, "Third uncle, let's go in first. There are many guests today. The door is closed in the evening." Let's have a nice chat with our family. Hey, okay, okay, Li Lao-san quickly grabbed Zhao Yuru and followed Li Lao-si in. Jiaran and Jiawen took brother Li to the left and the right, and followed him into the house to salute. Dozens of people filled the main room, making it a lively event. Old Mrs. Li saw her 3 grandchildren and dismissed them after a brief talk. I am in Luoan on weekdays. I finally came back. Don't stay in the house and go out to play. Jiaran and Jiaran all responded, but turned their heads. Jiaran picked up the teapot and poured tea for the elders. Jiaran put on an apron and went to help in the kitchen. Only brother Li jumped up and down to look for his younger brothers and sisters. Everyone couldn't help but sigh when they saw this. No wonder the Li family's life is getting more and more prosperous. The 4 sons are all united and hard-working. The eldest Li can give the hereditary title to his younger brother. The second eldest son Li guards the family, is filial to the elderly and takes care of his nephew. Li Laosi risked his life to fight for his future and protect his family from wind and rain. Even Li Lao-san, the least outstanding one, was really proud and happy for his brothers at this moment and did not blame his eldest brother for not giving him the title. Looking at the grandchildren, Jiaran is gentle and polite, very talented in reading, Jiawen is diligent and kind, Jiyi is bold and brave, Jiaxi is filial and sensible, brother Li is lively and smart, and brother Cat is healthy and lovable. Finally, there is Fu Niuer, a little girl who is loved by all kinds of people. Not only is she not arrogant and overbearing at all, but she is extremely smart and loved by everyone. As the old saying goes, living life is about living a good life. With such good children and grandchildren, why worry about the family not being prosperous and the life not being prosperous? Everyone was drinking tea, chatting and laughing, and it was very lively. Soon, Li Zhang from the Weisha village, De Wangzhuang, and Xiaoangzhuang also came to the door with congratulatory gifts. The village chief led him into the house to salute. Although they don't know the identities of the guests sitting here, they can guess some just by looking at their demeanor. After leaving the house, Li Zhang from the Weisha village asked the village chief, "Brother, who are the nobles in this house?" The village chief was also proud, and responded proudly, "You are indeed sharp-eyed, and you can actually tell that he is a noble man. That old man is a great scholar of the current dynasty and the head of the Lu family in the city. There is also a gentleman from Luoan Academy, who is an in-law of the Li family. The 3rd bedroom wife is going to marry the daughter of this gentleman's family. You have met the rest, the Marquis and Wen Yushi, before." Li Zhang from the Weisha village grinned when he heard this. Li Zhang from the Wangzhuang and Xiaoangzhuang also subconsciously bent their waists. The village chief laughed, patted them on the shoulders, and comforted them, "Don't be restrained. Now your 3 villages are the fiefdoms of the princess. You are the subjects of the princess. Wherever you go, people will look at you." "Yeah, I forgot about it," the 3 of them said in unison, and then straightened their backs. "The princess doesn't collect taxes and grain, and she doesn't allocate work to us on weekdays. We always forget about the fiefdom." The Weisha villagers were joking, "If there is any work in the future, I must remind the princess that there are still us. It's so hard work." The other 2 Li Zhengs also expressed their determination quickly and rushed to get errands. Of course they are tired from working, but they want a better life. Look at the new village now, every family has no worries about food and clothing, and they are getting rich day by day. They wish they could sleep with envy. At this moment, Jiyan ran in from outside the gate, followed by Shuiling. Sanli was about to kneel down and salute, but was stopped by the village chief. Jiyan saw 4 old men standing in a row on one side, looking at her eagerly, and was very confused, so she called out, "Grandpa, the village chief." The village chief quickly bent down and touched her head, and replied with a smile, "It's okay, is Fu Niu hungry? Come in quickly, we'll have dinner soon." Jiyan nodded and ran towards the house on her little fat legs. 3 people are envious of this. They may never dare to touch the princess's head for the rest of their lives. In the kitchen, with the help of her family, Tao Hongying was obviously much more relaxed. While cooking, she was exchanging ideas with her nephew. Today, she saw that the live fish was relatively fresh, so she made a dish of boiled fish. Snow-white meat slices, sprinkled with red pepper and peppercorns, and poured with hot oil, the aroma instantly stimulated, making everyone drool like crazy. Soon, the tables and chairs were opened, everyone took their seats, and the food and drinks were served one after another. This boiled fish with bright color and novel taste naturally attracted everyone's attention and curiosity. Sitting at the main table were Mr. Ho, Mr. Li Zhensheng, Mr. Li Laoer, Mr. Peng, Mr. Wen, Mr. Lu, Dr. Zhang, the old village chief, Lu Baiatu, and Uncle Zhao. The old village chief and Uncle Zhao were a little restrained. After all, they had the lowest status among the whole table. But Li Laoer poured wine for them personally and introduced to Mr. Lu and Mr. Peng, "This is the anchor of our village, the village chief's Uncle Wu and Uncle Zhao." The two uncles guarded the border outside the Great Wall when they were young. After being injured, they returned to Zhejiang County. Our whole family came from the northern part of the Great Wall, and when we first settled down, we received a lot of care from them. Later, when the capital was moved, my two uncles protected our whole family and fellow villagers, fighting wolves and killing bandits all the way out of the mountains. Now we have such a good life, but thanks to these two uncles, we have always respected them as elders in our family. These words are a bit exaggerated, but they are also telling everyone that the village chief and Uncle Zhao cannot be ignored. If you respect the Li family, you must respect them. Mr. Lu is a human spirit, how could he not understand? Now he smiled and said, "I heard Jinro say a few words before that she was able to get to Zindu with the help of the villagers. Who would have thought that today I would have the opportunity to drink with the two old brothers? Jinro's father is gone, and as an uncle, I must give a toast to the two old brothers." Mr. Peng also bowed his hands in salute, not to mention that the two old men shed blood and sacrificed their lives to protect Tianwu's peace, but that the two old men played an indispensable role in the grand scene of Broken Gold Beach today. I also want to toast you a glass of wine. End of this chapter.